talked about most of this already as well. So I'll start with overhead valve. Lifters get their lubrication from the block, so there's going to be a hole in the side of the lifter. So where the lifter sits in the block, oil comes into the lifter. From there, oil comes out of the lifter, normally through the push rod, up to the rocker arm, basically spills over the top of the rocker arm and lubricates the valve itself. So all of the oil really sort of starts at the lifter. So that's our typical arrangement for most overhead valve engines. So they have a little note here. We talked about the newer Chrysler Hemi engines. Those are still overhead valves, so cam is in the block. You just have kind of a weird oiling system. So rather than oil starting at the lifter, oil basically starts up at the rocker arm, goes back through the push rod down to the lifter. So their oiling system is sort of backwards in design. Not anything you need to worry about memorizing, just something kind of as FYI. And the cam, again, cam's going to get lubrication from the cam bearings where it sits in the block. But in terms of the lobes, really the critical part, that's coming from splash lubrication. So splash lubrication, when would that be better, low RPM or high RPM? High RPM, right? High RPM, we're splashing a lot of oil around. Low RPM, like an idle, not as much. That's one of the reasons why flat tappet cams and lifters, we had a lot of wear and tear. Because most of the time, this isn't really getting that good lubrication. And if you think about it, when these lobes are pushing up on the lifter, push rod, rocker arm to force those valves open, what's this trying to do to all the oil in between? It's trying to squeeze it all out, right? So it's very hard to keep that layer of oil in between the two. So one of the things that you guys will end up seeing in the video, if you have a flat tappet cam, we've replaced our cam and lifters, right? Because we're not going to reuse these. So we've rebuilt our engine, we got a brand new cam, brand new lifters. If you put that engine in the car and just start it up and let it run, within about 15 minutes, you'll probably have a brand new cam that has 16 or however many flat lobes on it. And your lifters will be completely worn out. And the reason why is in idle, we don't get very good lubrication of these components. And during initial braking, there's a lot of wear and tear happening. So in a flat tappet engine, if you start this thing up for the first time after a rebuild, what you have to do is keep the RPM high for about 10 minutes. Usually about 2,500 RPM. That would get lots of splash lubrication to keep this lubricated and allow everything to wear in. And generally what they recommend is not only keeping that RPM high, but fluctuating it some. So that's going to help keep these lifters rotating. Because again, if those lifters don't rotate, this thing will wear out in a matter of minutes.
So as soon as you start the motor, you keep the RPM 2,500?
Yep, basically as soon as you fire it up, you get that thing revved up. So with a roller cam and roller lifters, that's basically a non-issue because these don't require very much lubrication at all to maintain low friction. And that's a big reason why manufacturers have gone to this. Also, if you have an engine that still uses flat tappets, normally they recommend you use a zinc oil additive because zinc's been removed from the oil and that's one of the things that helps these live. So even our older engines where they use flat tappet designs, a lot of people, if they rebuild those engines for performance or anything like that, they're upgrading them to a roller design. It's just a lot more reliable in the grand scheme of things. Frees up power also. All right.